Communication, intellect, speaking, and thought, all representations of what Mercury, one of the first planets in astrology, what it means as its significant meaning for what we are up against. In this video, I am going to be discussing the planet Mercury and all the characteristics and traits that go into this very speedy, very buzzy planet, and what it's all about in order for you to understand in the videos following this what sign your Mercury is in. This video serves as an introduction to a series of videos on Mercury through the signs. But before we get to the signs, we have to understand the, the traits and characteristics of the planet Mercury. So let's dive in. So, Mercury in astrology, first of all, rules Gemini and Virgo, two very intellectual signs. Virgo is the air earth sign, so it's very intellectual, very logical. Um, it is considered exalted in the zodiac sign of Aquarius because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is the higher octave of Mercury, the higher mind. So thinking of innovative new solutions, being very intelligent, wise beyond their years, that kind of thing. So it's very representative of Mercury and Aquarius. And so delving into Mercury, Hermes, the messenger of the gods, delivering people from the higher realms to the underworld. Mercury serves as the bridge, serves as the traveler to both lands. And so Mercury represents messages. It can also represent trading and exchanges of energy and resources and commerce. I'm giving this to somebody else, and what am I going to get back in return? So that's very, important to consider. Mercury is the messenger in astrology, sending messages. Mercury deals with our day-to-day expression and communication, how we express ourselves, how we put ourselves out there, how we speak our mind, how we speak our truth, how we speak to our feelings and thoughts going on inside of us. Now, Mercury rules Virgo, and Virgo is very analytical. So it deals with taking things apart, dissecting the individual parts, and then putting them back together again. That's, fragmentation. Looking at the little details of things is Mercury's domain for Gemini and for Virgo as signs. The very first entrance to somebody's Mercury placement, maybe you are emailing or texting that person to begin that relationship. The way that they communicate says a lot about the sign or house placement, but mainly the sign of what their Mercury is at. So that the communication, the way they write emails, the way they send texts tells you a lot about their communication style. Mercury deals with our thought processes, how we process information, how we take in information, how we learn, what is our learning style. Information is representative of Mercury, our ideas are representative of Mercury. It's also how we how we handle and deal with nervous energy. Because Virgo and Gemini are very nervous, very, mutable, ants in the pants kind of thing. So, how we handle very high-strung, anxious type of energy. Mercury deals with the mind and the intellect. It is known as the planet of communication, how we communicate, how we verbalize our thoughts and feelings. Mercury deals with receiving information, how we receive that information, how we take the information that we learn, put it through our mental processes, digest it, integrate it, and then come out with something to say after receiving that information. Networking is also a big Mercury theme. Um, how we learn and process information, as I said before. Mercury deals with intelligence. That's Very, very big thing. It's all about your smarts. Mercury deals with how your mental functions will be expressed. So that's very important. The expression of thoughts are representative of Mercury. Mercury deals with approaching others and information to learn and exchange ideas. I'm sharing something, and then I'm also receiving something back from the other person, and then the kind of ping pong game between the conversation. Now, a very famous and infamous astrology phase is known as Mercury retrograde, and it occurs 3 to 4 times a year. It can occur 4 times if Mercury is retrograde in either Sagittarius or Capricorn. So, what this means is we're going more internal, we're reviewing, we're reflecting. We're not so much out there and communicative, we're diving into our intuition, we're processing, we're re-looking at things, we're retracing our steps. During Mercury retrograde, communication breaks down. Mercury is sort of asleep, on a vacation, and not fully functioning when it's retrograde. So communications, connections, messaging, all of that breaks down during Mercury retrograde. And currently, as I'm filming this video, Mercury is retrograde. So this is a very, very good time for inner reflection when Mercury is retrograde, reflecting on your current situation. With Mercury retrograde, you want to finish and continue with the plans that you set out to achieve, the plans that you made, the plans that you put your intentions on before Mercury goes retrograde. That's very important. Mercury is very inquisitive, very interested, verbal, and there's a versatility to this planet. The low rate of Mercury is becoming overly technical, overly rational, overly logical. Mercury looks at how you get your point across, how you express your point. That is very, very important for you to understand. Um, and how you process and study information. That's also very, very huge. Mercury rules whatever placement that your Mercury is, and it's how your individual style of communication. Whatever house you have your Mercury in, for example, mine is in the fourth house, which is family, roots, emotions, all that kind of thing, indicates where natives have a voice as well as areas of life that you tend to easily intellectualize. Mercury deals with cognition. Mercury also rules the third house, which deals with short distance travel and technology of any kind. So that becomes important here. Finance and traveling become important. Um, and so Mercury moves very, very quickly, usually stays 2 to 3 weeks in a sign. And so that represents our ideas and interests changing quite a bit, not staying the same. Um, and so Mercury deals with your style of communication, how you process information, and the intellect. It also rules what gets you intellectually stimulated, what you want to put your focus and stimulation on. It's very, very important with Mercury. How you think and express ideas to others is important. Intellect and awareness, logic and reasoning, creating and expressing our thoughts. We can also have a very quick wit when we're really into the Mercury energy. We can think on our feet. We're very, very adaptable and flexible. We can think of the right thing to say in any moment. And I have Venus and Mars in Gemini, particularly the fact that I have Mars in Gemini, that makes it so that I can really talk my way into so many different things that I want and need in my life. I have the gift of the gab when it comes to asserting myself with that. So that's one indication of what Mars in Gemini means in the natal chart. I'll do a whole video on Mars in Gemini when we get there, but for now we're talking about Mercury. So Mercury deals with the possibilities and opinions. It also deals with writing, the act of writing, physically or through a computer, online communications, learning information. When Mercury is retrograde, our communications are challenged. It looks at our level of focus. Um, so one thing that's very technical to understand about Mercury is that if you are an Aquarius sun, for example, your Mercury is either in Capricorn, Aquarius, or Pisces. One of those signs. There's no exceptions to that. Mercury is either in the sign before the sign the sun is in, the sign the sun is in, and the sign after the sun is in. That's how it works. And when it goes beyond that point, it has to go back, it has to retrograde back to before the sun enters sign. And then it just goes forwards again and then it goes back. So that's just how it works. Mercury rules the third and the sixth house in astrology. So the third house deals with communication. It deals with short distance travel as I described before, primary early education, that kind of thing, siblings. The sixth house is your health, your work, your daily routines, your the things that you do on a day-to-day basis where you connect intellectually to life. Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, has a very clever and curious wit. Virgo, when it comes to Mercury, is the more rational and intelligent side. It's also the more discerning side of Mercury, discerning what pieces of information are important and what pieces of information don't matter. So that is very, very, one of the high words of Virgo is discernment. And so Mercury deals with being very objective, being very adaptable, observing ourselves, not getting so caught in our emotions and our situations, but taking a step back, looking from a higher vantage point, seeing life from a higher perspective, and observing and making sound decisions from that place of observation, from that place of neutral observation. So any kind of judgment blocks the clarity, it's bias, it's inputting. So we want to look at our behavior objectively. That's what we want to do. Mercury may be more into questions than answers. That would be a tendency for this planet. Um, this is really all about becoming more tolerant and creative. Both of these things, bodily flexibility, mental flexibility. And Mercury is about honoring both curiosity, Gemini, and efficiency, Virgo. That's all I have for you on the planet Mercury and astrology. Stay tuned for the next video that I'm going to be doing. I believe that it is going to be on the weekly astrology for the week of let's see, we have for the week of August 3rd, I believe. So tune in for that video, and then after I get done filming that video a couple days later, I will be filming the video for Mercury in Aries and starting the whole series out with the Mercury placements in the signs. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you're into this kind of content, if you want to get updated on when I post new videos, if you're into this kind of content, if you want to walk this journey with me, exploring astrology and going through the planets and their signs and all other astrological information that I may present. So hit the notification bell, hit the like button, do all those things, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.